30 years ago today, Siouxland was rocked by a massive explosion at the Port Neal fertilizer plant near Salix, Iowa. The early morning blast at Terra International leveled that plant, killed 4 people and injured 18 others.
And it also released a cloud of ammonia that forced evacuation of more than 2,000 people tonight. KTIV's Al Jones looks back on that day with one of the emergency responders who was there.
You can see just massive damage to the whole plant.
Oh, yeah. It's been 30 years, but former Woodbury County Emergency Services Director Gary Brown remembers it like it was yesterday.
I'm like most everybody in Siouxland. I felt it. I was just ready to head out the door for work when I heard the explosion or felt the explosion.
In an instant, he had a pretty good idea what had just happened.
Pretty clear to me, knowing Woodbury County and what could have made that loud of noise, it had to have come from somewhere down in the Port Neal complex.
Within 20 minutes, he was on the scene.
It was solid fog. It was just almost no visibility at all.
This presented a real problem for responders as they arrived on the scene, unable to distinguish between the fog and the anhydrous ammonia that had been released into the air.
All the responders were kind of going in blind because you couldn't really see what you were driving into. As the sun come up, it became very clear that this plant was completely destroyed. It was devastated.
Daylight revealed only a crater where a 7-story building had once stood. Debris blasted a half-mile away.
It was very difficult to navigate through and try to find all the victims that were either injured or killed inside the perimeter because of the whole landscape had changed from the significant explosion that took place.
The blast leveled half the facility. 30 employees were there when the explosion occurred just after 6 a.m. 4 of them were killed, 18 injured. Some were injured by the impact of the explosion, others by falling debris. Many suffered from ammonia inhalation. 2 15,000-ton refrigerated ammonia storage tanks were ruptured. With ammonia in the air, 2,500 people were evacuated from surrounding towns. Schools and communities downstream were evacuated after ammonia vapor attached itself to Missouri River water.
We spent a significant amount of time dealing with the chemicals that had been released, trying to neutralize them and put them back into some kind of containment vessel.
And we all want to know the answer just as much as you do and just as much as the state fire marshal does.
Brown and other first responders were on site around the clock for 2 days, and then for 12 to 14 hours per day after that for a while.
It was very tedious work. It was very dangerous work, and we're very happy that we got out of there with none of the responders injured or killed, which could have happened. We could have had a secondary explosion with 40 or 50 rescuers on site and killed a bunch more people. Look at the debris thrown over the rail cars.
Gary Brown is retired now. In his 42-year career, Terra was the second biggest call he ever got, second only to Flight 232, and a day that he and those personally impacted by the tragedy will never forget. In Sioux City, Al Jones, KTIV News 4.